will be posted live. Okay, so just know you will have access to this footage. Okay, so thank you all so much for being here. Anyone who would like to join the stage, I am going to send some requests for you to come up. Okay, and again, once we get through the speakers, we will pretty much open it up for anyone who might have a few questions or want to pour into these speakers. Okay, so with that being said, let's get into it. So, Sister Danielle, since you were so grateful with helping us with these questions, I think I want you to start it if that's okay. You know, we can get into the questions for the ladies and we can tag team. I'm all for it. But yes, Queen, it's always grateful just to have you as a co-host. So on that note, you have the first question of the day.
Yay. Hold on one second. All right. It's an echo, huh?
Yeah, make sure you cut it down on Clubhouse. Only turn it up on the live stream.
Okay, sorry. So I am going to read the first question. I want to thank you all again for joining in this conversation. Definitely thank you all for joining in this finale. Loyalty made a great idea, great suggestion to be able to get this done, and we are making this happen. So everyone's feedback throughout this journey has been beneficial. Um, Tasha and Dr. Pamela, thank you all for joining in this. And I want to go ahead and start with the first question. So, Tasha, can you share a little bit about your story and your journey in domestic and verbal abuse?
You're muted, Miss Tasha.
Can y'all hear that background music? No? Great. Okay, so my journey with domestic violence and domestic and verbal violence began in my childhood. And it was because my father was domestically abusive to my mother from the time I was a little girl. And I later found out that he had a drug addiction. And I remember times where he would come and try to get my mom to give her check because she worked for GM, and he would like just like totally terrorize us. And we end up moving, and he would stalk us, and he eventually found us. And one time when my sister was outside playing, he kidnapped my sister, and he came and got my sister. At least that's what I was thinking. He was just picking her up, and I was sad because I couldn't go, and I went in the house to tell my mom, and my mom got erratic because she knew that he shouldn't have been around and that he had kidnapped my sister. And so when we got my sister back, my dad, I just found out this year that when he kidnapped her back then when we were little, he he took some wax and poured it into the center of her hair. And I used to wonder, as being a hairstylist back in my younger years, I noticed my sister's hair was always thin in the top, and I didn't really know why. Thought it was alopecia or something. And she told me this year, when I was taking her back to Michigan because she was suffering with cancer and had lost all her hair, that when he kidnapped her, he poured wax in the center of her head, and that's why she had the issues with her thinness of her scalp. And I was just, it just reminded me today that it's amazing how this trauma is still showing up in our lives today. With her just telling me this in 2022, but it happened somewhere back in the 80s. I'm dealing with it. I've dealt with it. So it was it was not so alarming that it crippled me or anything, but more brought awareness to how important me getting my healing was. And I just thank God that He brought that to. I think He was bringing that to so that I can know, so that I can have closure in that situation too. And so I just thank God for that. And then with all the drama of my dad, I still see the life of my mom have closure in that situation too. And so I just thank God for that. And then with all the drama of my dad, I still see the life of my mom have closure in that situation too. And so I just thank God for that. And then, with all the drama of my dad, I took the life of my mom and over in that situation too. And so I just thank God for that. And then, so with all this drama on my neck, I'm reminded that I'm going to go around and over in that new space too. And so I just thank God for that. And then, so with all this drama on my neck, did I do something wrong? Why was it doing that? Did you guys not just hear it?
Yeah, my guess is everybody needs to be muted except for the speaker because it's playing back through others.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I was just going to pivot into how what I witnessed in my childhood showed up in my young adult life, because as I began dating, choosing men that were domestic abusers or verbally abusive. And remembering back, my very first, what I would call my first love, true love, I thought was a young man that we had a great time together, and I thought everything was cold pathetic, but I found out he was cheating on me. And when I broke up with him, he wasn't happy and started stalking me and, harassing me to the point that where I had to get a restraining order on him. And eventually I ended up locking him up in prison because he violated his order. And he not only violated one order, but he violated 2 orders behind me and had to go to jail twice, had to go to prison twice. And even after that, I met another crazy and took me down a rabbit hole of, that drug addiction and that verbal narcissistic behaviors and, all of that. And I just knew the red flags, and it didn't last long, but it lasted long enough that I know that it could have had a different effect on me if I would have stayed longer. But I ended up putting him in prison as well.
Yes,
and so with that, I went to God because I felt like it was something wrong with me at that point. And at that point, I met my ex-husband, who's recently transitioned. I met him at church, and so fell in love. I do love all my tall, black, and handsome men, and he just stole my heart. And we ended up having 7 great years. And when we decided to move to Dallas, which was my vision and not his, when he moved out here first in 2008. And I sent the baby out here, and then I got our houses back in Michigan packed up, and I came out here. I flew out here, and he had moved from the place that I had initially saw when I came and brought the baby to Dallas. And so I was kind of in my feelings because I had never lived like that, how him and the baby had been living when I returned. And so it was very alarming to me that he had us in that situation. And so that immediate caused some strife in the situation. And I sensed that he had been cheating on me, and since I was gone and I wasn't there all that time. And so that had another layer of instability in the relationship. Now, this house that we was living on, it was falling down around us. I put my now 15-year-old, who was 2 at the time, on the tallest stool, and the tallest stool fell into the ground. I found out then the house was built on tree stumps. So my blood is boiling daily. I'm just appalled. I was just in some kind of way slowly dying inside because I was losing control. I was nothing I could do. I was in a new place, 1,000 miles from home, no friends or family near, and only thing I had was Jesus. And at this time, me and him was arguing from the time he stepped in the door. And this one morning, I know the day before this morning, the dreadful morning, I got his phone. I just got his phone. It rung, and I answered it, and it was this young lady, and she just poured out to me how she didn't know he was married, and she was sorry, and she apologized, and she just wanted me to know that if she had known, she wouldn't have, dated him, and all these things. And I told her I had been sensing it, and I just thank God that God worked the way He did, because I don't normally answer his phone. I didn't normally answer his phone, but I just answered it because he was a contractor, and sometimes you get business calls. And so when I answered it, I said, Lord, what you want me to do with this? I don't want to argue. I was tired of arguing at that point. And I went to sleep on it. And I know before we went to sleep that night, he was on the phone planning a fishing trip. And this young lady had already told me she was out of town, and how he would come see her in Arkansas. So I just knew that this trip he was supposedly planning, was something to get away to go see her. So I slept on it. I didn't bring it up or anything that night. That next morning, I was getting the baby ready to go to the doctor, and I'm ironing clothes, and it just started. I'm like, I asked him about her. He denied it. And at that point, I was infuriated. I was frustrated, and I was tired, and I became the abuser. I just threw the iron at him. And from that point, he wouldn't fight me. He was that much of a man that he would not put his hands on me. And so it did not go much further than that. And at that, I had to go to take the baby to a doctor's appointment. So I left immediately from that situation to the doctor's appointment, where the doctor noticed that something was very much wrong with me. And that I was living in South Dallas, and my baby went to Martin Luther King Center for doctors and for the physician. And she referred me to the Family Place. Now, Danielle, I know you might be familiar with the Family Place. Anyone else in the Dallas area might be familiar with the Family Place. And they are a great domestic violence organization. And that same day, because that happened early in the morning, that same day they had a group meeting, and I fell into that group meeting, and that changed my life. I stayed with my group sessions for the next 2 years. And at the end of my 2 years, I was facilitating the course, our time in group together. One memorable time was when I facilitated the vision board class, where we had cardboards, we had all our tools to create a vision board, and we all created vision boards for our life. And I remember mine, it was just an 8x10 little piece of cardboard, but I knew I wanted to live by water. So I had a picture of the place by the water. I knew, I wanted certain things in my life. And that's what I put on my vision board, as I, explained to the ladies that this is how we're going to get through this situation. And so that really helped me. And that organization went on to give me another year of single counseling with a counselor who helped me process a lot of things that had come up in my life, from dealing with my childhood traumas to my young adult traumas of being promiscuous and picking the wrong guys, and then having such a bad marriage. And at that time, I wasn't even able to articulate that I wanted a divorce. And, at the end, I finally got the courage to go back to the lawyers, because that was one of the things they provided you, was an opportunity to talk to lawyers if you needed a divorce. And so we did that. So I just want everybody to know, don't neglect to reach out or allow people to help you when you know something is going on, because you never know what opportunities, what resources will be available to you. That organization counseled me and my children. They provided for me and my children. I received my housing in 2 weeks because of that organization. You know, I'm in the same place I moved with my Section 8 then. I'm no longer on Section 8, and I'm in the process of buying the condo that I moved in on Section 8 in. You know, so I just
Right.
thank God, and I just know that we are overcomers, and we have to just put all our faith and hope and trust in the Lord, and we will overcome. I'm gonna land right there and let someone else share.
That is a heck of a story. I thank you for sharing your story with us, Tasha. I hope that everyone was listening. There was some key things for me in your story, and your tone scale. Of course, it changed. It was up and down, up and down. But that last piece, I can kind of hear the exhale in your voice when you made the statement about the Buckner home and the facility and the counseling, and you were able to be there to assist others in their struggles and in their wins as well. So I want to thank you for sharing your story, and I'm glad you were able to overcome your obstacles, and I'm glad you were still working towards your journey goal and making things happen for yourself. And congratulations on your condo. That's an up top. Yes, ma'am. You did that very, very well. I'm proud of you. Yes, yes. Dr. Pamela. Yes, snap them fingers. Yeah, she did that.
She did that. She did that.
Yes, she did that. But I
All right.
want you to share with us now. Tasha has shared hers. Can you go ahead and share your story about your
Okay.
domestic abuse and also your verbal?
Okay. What I'm going to do, Brian, though, I want to share it a bit more holistically. I'm not going to just tell you what happened to me. I want you to see the ripple effect. So,
Yes.
and the things that impacted me. So again, this individual, I was pregnant by. Um, Being raised in the church, marriage was what we were supposed to do. And at the age of 12, instead of praying for my own education and my own edification, I was told to pray for a husband. When I would come home from college, the question would be, when are you going to bring home a man? Now, I liked my life as is, but he was who I was comfortable with. I was pregnant with his child, and he had already started hitting me, but I just thought it would change. So we got married when our child was about 2 or 3 years old. I lied to my parents about still being involved with him. He came to see me when I was pregnant. They would catch me and just wouldn't say nothing. Let me save face. Knew he was there because I called myself in love. Um, he was brutal. Uh, just maybe about 3 years ago, I finally threw away the pictures of me with the black eyes, bruises. Um, we got married. Shortly thereafter, it started. Um, I was raised by parents that had been married at that time 20 or 30 years. Definitely had their issues, but they were married and they glued it together somehow. He was raised by a mother that had been married 3 times. And she'll go off and cuss everybody out, and that was kind of how she rolled. Um, we got married. One of our first biggest fights was, we're married, and I'm thinking we're supposed to have a joint checking account because that's what I saw my parents do, and I'll pay the bills and we'll put our money together, blah blah blah. No, I want my money, and what got me is I made more than him. But okay, keep your money. So we paid bills in the home, and he paid the cable bill. So what he did was, one day I'm sitting there watching TV, child's over there playing, and he comes in and sits down and says, I pay the cable bill, give me the remote. No, that's not how that works. We're married. And so, long story short, that was the day I had the Ike and Tina Turner experience of being dragged by my hair down the hallway over the remote. My son at the time was 2 or 3 and saw all of this. My husband, when he got mad, I was a bitch. There were days we got creative with it. I would be a big rotund bitch. My son heard all of this and started using that type of language. My job saw what was happening. They knew the bruises. They saw what was happening. And they called me in one day. They said, Pam, look, if you got to go, pick it up and go, and we'll give you a reference for wherever you go. If you've got to run, you run. Now, again, our marriage didn't last a year. There were balloons at the wedding that lasted longer than our marriage.
Wow.
I remember getting up, going to church, bruised, hurting to move. We went for counseling. A lot of times the counseling ended up with us fighting. I went on a work trip one night. He got mad about that. Wanted to get the car and come to where we were. It was a work event where we went and played games. It was a team building event. And he got upset about that, wanted to come get me from the team building event. He made me feel so ugly, so unworthy. I didn't understand why anyone liked me. And what killer was when he had to spend one night per week on base. He was in the Navy. And you know the Navy is the branch with the highest rate of domestic violence. His friends knew when he was on base and would just make excuses to come to our house. And so I didn't know what that was about, but he was repeating the things we did in our home. And some of them, I guess, were coming trying to try it. Nothing ever happened, but you created issues for me. So finally we have it out. The police come. They're tired of coming to our home. And even, let me back up. He tried financially. I would say, I need help with the bills. I can't help you. This man went and got a whole nother apartment. Wouldn't help me with the one I had. Got that one. Got evicted and told everybody I did. He didn't do anything for our son. Our son is pushing 30, and this man is still paying me child support today because he didn't do it back then. So this night is the night that brought the straw broke the camel's back. I grabbed my son because the police said, if we come back here again, we're taking the kid. I got my baby. I called my parents and I said, take my son until I can get it together to move and come home. And here's the thing I want people to understand. I didn't come from a poor family. I came from a family where I had two parents. We definitely had our share of dysfunction, but I had two parents. They paid my way through college. You know, I had a good, solid foundation and support, and still got beat down. And he beat me down verbally, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. So I also lived the War of the Roses, where you got to protect your stuff because he was destroying my style. Everything that we brought into that marriage, all of the towels, the dishes, my clothes, furniture was all mine. I was established. He was not. So he didn't mind destroying stuff in the house. It wasn't his anyway. I got my child out the house, went back, went to work. And again, at this point, I loved my husband. When we got married, I didn't really love him. I just did it because but at this point, you know, in my head, I want my marriage to work. The church frowned on divorce. I wanted my marriage to work. I get my baby to my parents. My parents are frustrated with me because they know I'm lying again. I was back with him. And why are you going back? Just come home. But I call myself having a career. I worked in HR. That was my dream. I loved my job and I wanted my career. And I wanted to make a transition and not lose anything. So I ended up going back. I didn't. They kept my child for a while, and this was another hard part of this. He was my child. Had I known then what I know now, I, my mother and I didn't have the best relationship, and she was manipulating and playing dirty in it. If I'd left my child there, she'd have dogged me for not being the mother I should have been. So I came and got my child, and of course she pitches a whole fit then because she didn't want to give my child back to me. So I took my child, and I'm sitting in my living room, house destroyed, holes in the walls, and I hit that it factor. I said to myself, you know what? You're not ugly. You're not worthless. You will get through this. Started applying for jobs. Long story short, ended up moving back, getting a great job back home. My parents gave me a home to live in, and divorced my husband. And when we divorced, now see, and again, the financial piece. He got a stipend for having a family. That's why he wanted to stay married. I didn't know that when we divorced, he'd lose it. I knew the stipend was $350. That's what I want for child support if it's supposed to go for the family. The judge gave it to me, but he lost the stipend, so now that came out of his pay. And he was hurting financially. But that's okay. I moved. We got it together. And I loved him so that if he had told me I'm getting remarried, I would have been devastated, hurt. Why wasn't I good enough for him to make it work with me? But today, if he tells me he's getting married, I'm coming to the wedding because I show up where there's free food. I will be all up in that piece. I am a fat kid that loves cake.
All the cake.
Girl, don't let it be chocolate. Woo! But it was a journey. It was a painful journey. There we go. It was a painful journey. One, I had to grow and finally realize who I was. I still hold bitterness with the church to this day behind what I was taught and the way that I was looked at, even after my marriage as a single woman. You know, we're some churches don't. Now, I can't say I don't think that's the case for most churches today, at least not the last two I was a member of. But I do have a level of resentment for that teaching. He brutalized me, but I can't say I'm not an eternal victim. I am an eternal victim. We're over it. I will not settle today. If you don't come correct for me, because I know who I am and what I'm worth, stay where you are.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. She said, stay where you are in advance, right? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Loyalty, you want to go ahead and get the next question? Dr. Pamela, thank you for sharing your story. I hope everyone was able to gain something from that story, including enjoying the food. Remember that.
That was my favorite part of the story. That was definitely my favorite part of the story for sure. So, you know, it just reminds me sometimes we got to eat the meat, spit out the bones, especially once you get to your point of healing. It's easy to do that, you know, and then you look back at it like, woo, I overcame it. And now I'm at this part of my journey. So thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Pamela Grace, and thank you, Natasha. We really love to dive into the story. So that brings me to our next question, okay? The next question that I have for you all, this is for Miss Tasha, okay? So the question here is,
Echo. We getting the
what
echo.
the saying, as we know, I hear it. Okay. So there's a saying, as we know, what goes in the house stays in the house, right? How unhealthy is that to young women and girls in their mental and emotional health?
Well, yes, what goes on in this house stays in this house. The pink elephant on the couch, whatever, what went on in this family, I bet not find out that you done took it outside of these doors. So that's your ass. So yes, I definitely know what you're talking about, and it is detrimental to our young girls and women today with that mindset, and our young men and men today as well. With that mindset is the reason why so many of the domestic violence situations are going unnoticed, why the trafficking is going unnoticed, why the kidnappings are going unnoticed, because people see it and they're so engulfed with everything in their world that their life that's going on with them. I ain't got nothing to do with that. And so they not only don't keep their stuff in, but they ain't even gonna look out for the next person because of that mentality. And so, and I think we need to change the narrative and start letting our young lady and young women know that it's okay to tell someone, to share your story. There's so much technology out today. You can email, you can text, you can DM somebody, and let them know, hey, I need help. I remember hearing the story of a young lady they took her to a fast food restaurant and she wrote on the napkin, you know, because she wanted her healing. She wanted her healing. She let somebody know. She didn't keep it a secret. Although they probably were threatening her, they probably was trying to break her down in the worst way, you know? So I think if we change the narrative and let everybody know that it's okay. It's okay. We can save lives this way. We can save families. We can save little boys and little girls everywhere from being broken adults.
Thank you so much, Tasha. I appreciate you just for really elaborating on that. And yes, a lot of us are taught that as young adults or young children, that whatever happened in this house stays in this house. And ooh, was that such a bad lesson that we all learned? So again, I think the lesson, of course, that we should have been telling our young girls or even boys, because they were being touched too. You just never know the situation is, what the good and bad touch is, and when someone is violating you, or if you feel uncomfortable, then you should speak up and speak out about these things. So thank you so much, Miss Tasha. We appreciate you for that. And I have a question for you, Dr. Grayson. Your question is going to be, what was your mark to say enough is enough?
Okay, I hear my question, but I hope you don't mind. I really need to speak to Tasha for just a second.
Yes, go right ahead, Queen.
The keeping it in your house. I called my ex-husband's father, my father-in-law, and told him what he was doing to me in hopes of the fact that he looked up to his father. He lied to him about eating McRib sandwiches. So that tells you how much he wanted him to think good of him. And I called him and told him, and he said that, keep your mess in your house. You taught this man it was okay to hit. And like you said, it's easier to fix the boys than a broken man. Y'all could have fixed this. Okay, but my question is, when did I hit the it factor? At my worst, at the bottom. Again, I'm sitting there. I feel, again, so ugly. I couldn't afford to maintain my hair at the time because I had a perm, so it's permed on the ends, but it's not in its best condition. I've picked up weight, and so I'm wearing these big clothes, and like I said, I'm sitting there, stuff destroyed, holes in the wall, floor destroyed because glasses were broken. Now by then, he He got mad at me and he tried to hit my car. I literally had to run from him because he was chasing me, trying to hit my car. He got mad at me one day and took glasses out of the house and threw and busted my windshield. So that's I didn't mind tagging him for the child support because you owed me anyway. But that day I distinctly remember it. I was sitting there, like I said, just a mess at my worst. And it's just like love came in and said, look, you've got value. You've always made more money than him. You were the one that graduated with the bachelor's. You were the one that's now working on your master's. Your job stood for you. The Navy wasn't standing for him. In fact, when this last go around, he had to go to court, and he's removed from the home permanently. When I went to court, we went to court a few times. It doesn't make sense that a woman is looking, she's 10 months pregnant and in there because her husband is beating her. To get him to sign the divorce papers, because we were in Illinois, and in Illinois, if you have minor children, you have to take a class. He refused to take the class. Wouldn't give me my divorce. I went to the judge. I begged. I cried. I had offered to drive him to the course. And she gave it to me because she said he's not going to be in the child's life anyway because he got shipped to Virginia and we stayed in Illinois. But that day was the day I promise you love came in like a mighty wind and said, daughter, you're going to be okay. The problem is not you. You are not so ugly. You are not so disgusting. And I picked it up that day and said, we're going to make it. And I took care of my child, even when he did it. And when I got that divorce, I was good. And I loved how I did the divorce. He didn't know why I was back in town. I said, hey, I'm going to be back in town. Would you like to see our son? He said, okay, yeah, he spent time with his son. I didn't know I went to court and divorced his dad. And took the papers back to the base that had the child support order in it. They told him, you take that over to payroll right now. And he went off. I didn't sign anything. Well, here's the thing. The last time they had him in jail for hitting me, I told his attorney, I'll drop the charges if he signs the papers. I heard his attorney scream at him, sign the papers. He still tried to refuse. I dropped the charges. He brought me signed papers. I was out. And I think that night, that divine revelation between myself and love, the divorce, my family providing us a home to move to, and I getting job after job, moving around, doing the things I needed to do and taking care of my son. That's when I hit that factor, the it factor. I had had enough of it. One thing I like to share with parents, or when they're sitting there and their children are going through it, you don't understand. You know, my parents were like, this is not Pam. Pam was broken. Pam wasn't the strong-willed, hard-headed, sassafras daughter you had raised at that time. I was broken. And I'm grateful my parents, they didn't say, I told you so. They didn't say, we told you not to do this. They didn't. They just let me come home and pick it up.
That's an amazing story. I thank you for sharing that, Dr. Pamela. It's amazing. And for those who are just not tuning in to this conversation, we thank you all for joining in. It's an honor and privilege to be able to get a moment of your time to be able to hear some wonderful, beneficial, healing, teary builders for me, women who are sharing their personal journey in domestic abuse and how they were able to overcome, not longer being the victim, but the victor of their story. So I want to thank you all for joining in. We had Dr. Pamela Grayson and Miss Tasha here sharing some wonderful information here on Loyalty and Friends. The next question I want to ask you all is this is going to go to Tasha. Yes. Women's self esteem and confidence has been damaged from some horrific events. Now she is on a journey to heal. What should she do first?
Okay. So first, I love this question. In my opinion, I think the first things that we should do exiting these type of situations is get some counseling. Whether it is self-counseling, if you're a type of person that want to go get some self-help books, some spiritual books, and self-counsel yourself with the help of the Holy Spirit, or you want to go get some church counseling, you want to go get some professional counseling, you want to be able to have access to some sort of counseling after one of these situations, because there's going to be layers and layers of issues that you don't understand. You're not going to be able to process on your own. You're going to need the help to be able to pull those things out of you that you maybe even don't even remember no more, but they're there and they're causing issues in your life. So that is very important. Be open when you get that counseling. That would be my second piece of advice, and be transparent when you get that counseling, because your openness and your transparency is going to help you get your best version of yourself, because you want to be able to get all of the, I think in the Bible it calls it miry clay, out of you, the nonsense, the all the dysfunction that is running rampant inside of you, that emptiness you feel on the inside of you, that nagging feeling on the inside of you. You want to be able to be your best self. You want to be transparent. You want to be open. You want to get that counseling. You want to be a professional person to help you be able to process these things. It's imperative for the rest of your life. You want to be able to forgive yourself and forgive others. And that is going to be very important, just as important as getting counseling. Because without forgiveness, you're going to have things still eating you on the inside. And a lot of times we hold that ought against that other person, but do you realize that there's three more fingers pointing back at you when you're pointing the finger at someone? So I would check myself twice before I check somebody else. Some of the other things that we could do is create a vision board of what we want our lives to look like. Read affirmations. One of my favorite affirmations that I'm reading now, I just found it on Instagram as I'm trying to get more into Instagram. I found it from a young man last night. It says, I am beautiful. I am loved. I'm safe. I'm free. I don't need to be like them. I just need to be like me. So I think, affirmations really help build us and guide us to the life we want. Make sure you are putting healthy information inside of yourself after you make sure you get that. It's very important to put the healthy stuff in after you get the drama and all the dysfunction out. You want to get it out, then put the healthy stuff in. You don't want to put the healthy stuff in on top of that, because then you're going to still have those issues coming up. And you're going to wonder, why am I over here acting a nut when I'm, claiming this over here? It's going to cancel each other out. You won't get the blessing because you haven't really healed yourself. So it's imperative. And just something, sometimes we get in feelings. I know me, a lot of times before I got my full healing, I would just be stuck didn't know what was wrong, didn't know what to do next, didn't just had this feeling of me of just a down feeling. And I always go to some music. I know putting on some music, some upbeat music, some spiritual music, that can really change the game in a day. You know, it takes me from a morning of dread to a afternoon of, just bliss. So I'm gonna land right there. And yes, those things to me would definitely help get you on the right track when you're leaving a situation like domestic violence.
Well, thank you,
Yes.
Miss Tasha. We really appreciate you for answering that. So I don't know, Daniel. I was thinking, should we skip to the next one for Dr. Pamela and then go back to that second question for Tasha? Or you think we should keep them in order because that kind of flows with the question she just had.
For Dr. Grayson, that's the one.
Mm-hmm. So let's see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Pamela Grayson. The question I have for you is, why is it important to not focus on fear and uncertainty when starting over?
You don't have a choice. If you're going to start over, and especially being in a position with children, you can't focus on fear, failure, none of that, because you've got too much riding on you. Now, if you have survived, oh, I think someone needs to mute.
Miss Tasha, can you mute?
She's muted.
Okay.
Okay. You can't focus on fear, a lack of faith, or any of that. You got to do it. And the reality of it is, if you have survived all of this abuse you sustain, and again, it is financial, emotional, spiritual, physical, you can do this. When you get into a position where you don't purposely have someone hurting you, you will do better. But the problem is, we have to get in that position where we can let that go. That's the hard part. After that, you can't go nowhere but up.
You said it right. You said it right, Dr. Pamela Grayson. We appreciate that. It's like once you're there, it's like, what else can you do? You have no choice but to go up, as you mentioned. So I just love your narrative and how you explain that. So, Miss Tasha, we got a question for you, and then the next question is going to kind of be for both of you all, okay? So, I see the one prior to that, Miss Tasha, before we get into the one for both of you, is what advice do you have to the young man and young lady who has grown up in abuse environment and is starting to date? What must be done with self so that they can be in a safe and successful relationship?
Okay, for me, I think my advice for the young couples would be, first, I mean, even before you even start dating, you want to make sure that you study yourself and know yourself, and know that you can be happy by yourself and it's not nobody else that gives you happiness. Don't go into dating looking for somebody to feel any insecurities, and know that when you recognize the red flags in yourself or that you see in others, pay attention to those red flags. Speak up about those red flags. Deal with them in real time, because when you don't, they just become bigger issues that are harder to deal with. You find it hard to pick up conversations on stuff you've been allowing, and you've been excusing all this time, and all of a sudden you're ready to change it. That's why it's important to speak up on those red flags from the beginning. Secondly, third. That's my second one. My third one would be accountable. Be accountable for yourself, for your behavior, for your attitude, and for your demeanor when you're dating. Be accountable, to others that you are dating. Don't get someone out on a date and then start gaslighting them, or you know trying to belittle them, or just dog them out. That goes for women and men. If you see something you don't like in a person, I was always told, if I don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. So definitely save that for uh just by do what you can do for that is just not go on another date with the person. You don't have to put them down and belittle them, or all that kind of stuff, behavior. Then if you find yourself doing that, you check yourself and wonder, what's making me do this? Why am I feeling like I can do this to people? And you deal with those things. And so it's a lot of issues that we can give young adults, a lot of advice we can give young adults to look for when they go into dating. It's just a matter of being in their sphere, being in their zones, that get you can let them know what's going on. Like, I'm talking to my son about dating. He's going skating tonight to meet a little girl, and I always talk to him about what it's by keeping his distance. I don't want him up on no girls, feeling on them. I want him to be respectful to the girls, and all of that. And so I really think that everybody needs to own their own shit. When they reach a certain age, you're responsible for taking care of your own self and being accountable, being proactive in your healthiness, mental health, physical health, spiritual health. You have to be proactive. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to do it for you. This is something you have to work out within yourself, and you best well work it out before you start bringing other people into your lives, because then you start bleeding on people and damaging people. Okay? Hope I can help.
There was a whole lot of help.
Did she say that one right? She said it right. So we got one for both of you, and then Danielle, I'm gonna pass that last one to you. So we got two questions that's technically for both of you. Okay, so I'm gonna ask one, and then Miss Danielle, she gonna take the torch and with that last question. Okay. So the question for the two of you, so Dr. Pamela Grayson, you can answer first. This is gonna be, why must self-love, okay? Why must self-love be key in your healing?
All right. I think that is a great question, because when you asked her what is the first thing that you should do, that was my thought as to what you should do first. You have got to look in the mirror, number one, and acknowledge this is not your fault. This person behaved like an ass. You didn't provoke them. It's not your fault. You didn't cause it. You are not broken in that area. But where you are broken, that we need to fix. But this is not your fault. You are a worthwhile individual. You've got to have that foundation of self-love. Because if you don't, you need to know how to love you, so you'll know what expectations to have of anyone else that tries it. You need to know in your self-love, I don't hit me. I don't berate me. I don't call me names. I don't deny me money. I don't deny me freedom. I don't deny me friends. I don't deny me family. Your self-love needs to be the best example of how to love you, period. Extremely important. So you will know what you will not take. You will recognize when a man truly loves you. Any man that hits you does not love you. He desires to control you. Now that one I married, he got away with it. Someone else gonna try. You will be on, what's the name of this show?
Snap.
Yeah. It'll be wondering why Pam went to Rockwall and bought some arsenic.
Right. Right, Miss Grace, and
Why
I'm
there's a
loving
bullet
it.
missing from her magazine. That's not love. And we're not doing that today. And it's not looking good for tomorrow. But that self-love is key. It is foundational. It is required. And again, that should be the litmus by which you judge, you demand, and you require to be loved by anyone else.
Ooh, did you drop the mic? Did you
That
drop
was
the
a whole. That was a whole lot. That was a whole lot.
She dropped that mic. She whoop, dropped it with both hands. Hey. So, Miss Tasha, you know, you got that same question because we understand like self love is very, very important. So, in this situation, we definitely want to ask you that same question. Why is self love so key and vital to your healing?
Okay. So what I would say is we're all we got. If we don't take care of ourselves, who's gonna take care of us? We so busy taking care of everybody else and their mama. And when it comes to taking care of us, we wondering why our body aching, why we stressed out, why we, about ready to pull our hair out, can't even go to the bathroom without being bugged. That environment, if that is your life, that is something you need to take pay very close attention to and look for ways that you can start to change the narrative where you can have a peace of mind in your home, at work, out running your errands. You can do that for yourself. Even with the world going on around you, you can cause a certain peace within yourself and on yourself that it goes beyond your understanding. I know this because I practice it. A lot of times I'm in stressful situations and I have to protect my energy because I can start acting in all kind of ways if I allow people to pull me out of my zone. And if I'm not taking care of my own self-health, if I'm not caring for Miss Tasha the way that Miss Tasha likes to be taken care of, I have to show my mate how to take care of me. I have to show my children how I want to be treated. They not just gonna know this. Nobody just knows what you want. You have to be verbal in your self-care, in your self-maintenance, taking care of your mental, taking care of your peace of mind, taking care of sometimes we go out looking any kind of way because we just got so much going on. Knowing that ain't our character, we just didn't say the hell with it. That's when you responding to yourself like that, know you need some self-care. And that's what I'm gonna say about self-care because it should be a way of life for us by now with Corona.
You know, I wanted to say thank you to both of you all because sometimes I think we may not realize some of the situations we go through and we don't identify with them as domestic violence, So as I've been hearing you all pour out your stories, it just reminded me of some things that I went through personally. So, and that's when it changed for me. When I realized my value, my worth, you understand? Because love does not hurt. I remember being in a 6-year relationship with an alcoholic. And he was the best person ever when he didn't drink. But as soon as he get that alcohol in him, I didn't know who he was. I was like, whoa, I didn't want to see a day of him. Not a day. It was very verbally abusive. Originally it started as verbal, and that's why I always say things always, they progress. It may start off verbally, and you may think they'll never hit you. They just talking and saying words, but after so long, that frustration, it gets beyond them, and then they get to a point where they want to be physical with you, and that's exactly what happened with us. This guy pulled a gun on me in front of my daughter. He's put a knife on me in front of my child. Called the police. They weren't much help. They want you to be actually hurt and battered before they actually step in to really do something that's going to be willing to help you. So I thank you, ladies, because it's a lot to really pour out your stories. And even though you're over that obstacle in your life, doesn't mean that you don't think about those things that you went through, and the trauma and how you overcame it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that being said, we're going to put it on Danielle because we got one more question. So Danielle, you have the last question
Yes,
for the
we have
ladies.
one more question, but I want to also too, what you saying that loyalty is highlight that many of us went through our childhood being called many names. They say sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That's not true. Words do hurt, and words do matter. So you go through certain things as a child, a teenager, a young adult, and you're called stupid, you're called ignorant, you're called no man gonna ever want you, no woman's gonna ever want you, you're not worth nothing. We get called many names by even our own parents. And so you hold that in your space. So when you come across a man or a woman that abuses you and they give you that feedback, don't nobody want you. I'm gonna take care of you. I love you and I want to be with you. But you gotta, I had a rough day at work. No. I'm stressed out. No. We should not accept certain things in our space to be okay. It's not okay. So you have to be able, and if you can find someone to counsel you, it's awesome. And if you are the person who's the listener of your friend or family member, listen. Don't come with a whole bunch of feedback about your personal story. Just listen. That person wants to be able to exhaust all that energy. You may call it venting. There's a thin line between going off too much and whining about it. But when someone is hurting, it's okay to listen to a person talk. They have to have someone they can trust to be able to listen to their story, and then help them find resources, help them find some help, counseling, lawyers, whatever they need to be able to get away from that environment. So Dr. Pamela Grayson and Miss Tasha, I want to share with you all this last question. I want to again thank you all. Those who joined into this conversation, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for joining Loyalty and Friends. Our dear listeners are on our finale conversation that, of course, needs to end. We here at Loyalty and Friends and Silent Crimes, we come together working to bring awareness to domestic abuse, trafficking, molestation, and much more. The last question is to how do we reach far and wide to help bring the madness to a stop? Dr. Pamela, you can go ahead and target that one for me. How can we bring it to a stop?
You, first of all, within our culture that we try not to acknowledge issues, like you said, keep it in your house. That has to stop. We should be able to develop lifelines and support lines. Now, I'm not just saying run and tell everybody either, but we should, within our community, be able to develop lifelines and solutions for each other. We also need to teach our children, our daughters and our sons, what love is. We need to have them when they hit that door, not to hit people. A relationship isn't a tool of control. It is a tool of growth, development, building, love, making love, pleasing each other, growing together, and raising children that have these same attributes and features. We need for our children to leave our homes understanding that they have value. So nobody else comes and tells them what you didn't and gets them to hold on them that you didn't. If I tell my little girl at home she's pretty, prime example. Like I said, I didn't come, my parents back then, my father was a successful business owner. He had a Mercedes. My father is 70 something, and if I walk in front of him, he will open the door for me today. Give it to him at home, because and every man that I dated, you got compared to him. I didn't have to sleep with him to ride in a Mercedes, so I'm not going to do that with you because I got access to one now. I didn't need a man for simple things. I, as an adult, understand that I need a man for the intangibles. When I'm stressed out, you listen and you hold me. When I'm hurting, you listen and you hold me. And when I'm acting a fool, you want to tell me, hope it works, but hold me. Teach them before they leave the house what it's supposed to be like. These are the things that we need to do. Be transparent. Don't lie. We know you didn't fall downstairs. The cabinet didn't hit you in your face like that and blacken your eyes. All of the tools we have before us, Clubhouse, social media, tell your stories, be transparent, be honest, be vulnerable. Because while it may be embarrassing to you, you are helping someone else. So we have plenty of tools, plenty of resources. We need to change the way our culture thinks. I think that the great song is Kendrick Lamar's The Culture. It loves us, and we want it to. We love our culture, and we want it to love us too. We need to get our culture to the point where it loves us too.
Thank you for that. Yes, ma'am. Miss Tasha, you ready?
Indeed, I am.
Yes.
So what I have for that one is, how do we reach far and wide to reach masses to help prevent, we have to put an end to domestic violence, and I added trafficking, kidnapping, and senseless killings. My first point is, change won't happen overnight, but if we keep showing up and making noise in the right arenas, such as connecting with others in the movement, the domestic violence and trafficking, and all of the movements. I know we have the senseless killing, Black Lives Matter, all these different movements going on. Connect with people in all 50 states so that we are all on the same page and be the change that we want to see, the voice of the voiceless. Someone may have criminal court connections, political connections, spiritual connections, police connections, shelter connections, community or programming, or just any connections that we can use to join states on a level that everyone knows that there's a public service announcement going forth that we're here to change the narrative. Domestic violence, trafficking, kidnapping, senseless killings, we're putting them on notice, and things are about to change. And we have to be collective and all come on the same page and work in tandem. so that we can be effective and put an end to these things that are in our control. But because we don't know our power level, we simply conform to the world and believe that's a real thing. When you conform to the world, you believe in the things of the world. But when you are with God and you know the spiritual things, you know your power. And because I know my power, I know that this thing can be eradicated. And I'm not just speaking to be speaking. I am speaking truth to power. It can be eradicated, and I know that. And so I think if we can put a blueprint together for other things to be let the masses know. You know, Trump didn't have a problem letting all his people know when he wanted to commit the January 6th issue problems. You know, so we need to take our power and start to come together, reaching out to our connections in other states and on other platforms, and start to pull together, pull the resources together, pull the knowledge and the big brains and the little brains, the victims and the victors, bring them all together and start putting together a plan so that we can get to a much larger scale and start to be the change we want to see.
That was a big answer. And I love both of you all's responses. I hope you all are listening, taking some wonderful notes. And we will definitely have this as a replay. If you missed it, you want to hear the whole thing, you can go back and replay it. It'll be posted here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Wonderful Host with a big smile, Loyalty.
Yes, indeed. So I'll have to second it. My sister Danielle stated this has been amazing, amazing three-part series, and now we're down to the finale, you all. And again, what we did here was amazing, very powerful. We have to continue to do the work. This is only the beginning. Not only do we need to spread it, we have to continue to come up with solutions so we can continue to help those who may not be speaking out. Then they're just not speaking out for whatever reason. They're scared or whatever, or they think this person can still hurt them. But it's time for us to take a stance. So thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. This has been amazing. I know we have quite a few people here on Clubhouse. We appreciate you all. We appreciate each and every one of you. So we're gonna keep it. I know it's like 9:30 Eastern Standard Time now. We're gonna have maybe a 10-minute Q&A so you can ask a question if needed or pour back into our speakers. So let's start with those here on the live with us. Anyone here? I got Coach K, we got Miss Chris Cynthia, our brother EA. They are also joined with us. We got our brother LP as well. And then our other speakers, Dr. Pamela Grayson, of course, Miss Tasha, and my sister Danielle. Of course, we're all right here. So anyone here who's live on the actual call, would you all like to say anything before we move it over to Clubhouse?
Hey, Loyalty, I just want to say one thing to everyone. I just posted some resources in the group chat. Is that what it's called? On Clubhouse. So if you need some resources, phone numbers and resources to reach out to, those have been posted. So I just wanted to share that. And just to say, I think tonight was phenomenal. I think this series has been very touching. And I know I'm always the one that says that God is intentional. So even if we are able to touch one life and save one life, we have done our job. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Coach K. We appreciate you, Queen. And thank you for the resources, you all. So, yes, if you're in Clubhouse, you can check our room chat, and those resources are available. Coach K did put the number for the traffic hotline. Of course, if you all need that, and this is on the replays, that is 1-888-373-7888. That will connect you with the traffic hotline. And you can also text to the number 233733. Okay, and it's free of charge. Now, also, there's another resource, domestic violence hotline. That telephone number for anyone who might need it, who may be listening in, is 1-800 799 7233. Again, that is 1-800-799-7233. Or you can also reach out at 1-800-787-3224. Okay. So thank you all. And then we have one more National Sexual Assault Hotline, and that is 1-800-656-4673. Again, that is 1-800-656-4673. So, on that note, anyone else here live with us would like to speak before we go over to our clubhouse audience?
I do real quick if you don't mind. I
Yes.
want to share also too with Silent Crimes phone number. The phone number for Silent Crimes is 214-225-5201. If you know someone who's in a situation of trafficking, you want to have someone to have a conversation with about your abuse, you need resources on our end. We're able to be the lending ear that you need and the pathway to get you where you need to be. Dr. Pamela Grayson also too works with me, and I work with her in our organization. Doctor, if you don't mind sharing your information too, collective activism, to be able to give that information to them and give people the help they need. You're on mute,
Ma'am.
Dr. Pamela.
Collective activism. We are over here in Dixon Circle. We are a community advocacy organization. Basically, whatever the community needs, we try to put the resources in to do that. Our latest endeavor is what was formerly a center that became a little bit dilapidated. Anyway, the family gave it to collective activism. So we are rehabbing a whole community center here so we can do advocacy activities right here in the circle. And one thing I would like to do, we will help those that are facing domestic violence. There are too many resources. And then here in Dixon Circle, in our precinct, in our area, domestic violence, particularly during the pandemic, was the highest crime that was committed over here. But a lot of times here, it happens amongst the undocumented folks that will not call law enforcement. So, or will not seek resources because for fear of deportation. But you can give us a call, 469-364-0270, and we will work to try to get you the resources you need. We are over here dealing with people behind in rent. We're finding the resources for that. We, excuse me, community cleanups, educational events, all of that. Because again, too, you have your DISD superintendent who's retiring and said the literacy gap is wider for Black children than anyone else. So that is another issue that we will be addressing as well.
Yes, ma'am. There you go.
Man, what a wealth of knowledge, I will say. Thank you so much, Dr. Pamela Grayson. We love the resources for sure. You all tap into these resources, pass them out to and spread the word. You know, we have a wealth of resources for each and every one of you. So on that note, anyone else here live with us would like to speak, and then we're gonna go over to Clubhouse. We got about another 5 minutes for Q&A, and then we're gonna go ahead and bring this to a close. So anyone else?
Yes, I'm just going to end on a lighter note with be really quick here. I just wanted to end with an affirmation. I am the most powerful I've ever been. I'm walking into the wealthiest and healthiest version of myself. Everything I desire is on its way because everything I desire is already mine.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you so much. And we need those positive affirmations. So thank you, Miss Tasha, man, because you are a big reason why this has even came along. So I thank you so much. And just for really just being the person for the community. You know, when you go through certain situations that make you want to go back and pull your sister up too. And that is amazing. So keep being that advocate for our community, Queen, because we need people like you who can tell the success story of coming on the other end of that. So thank you, my Queen. And I know my brother LP, I believe he had something he wanted to share. But before then, ladies first. So Coach K, I see you on mic, Queen. Go right ahead.
I just want to say right now, seriously, you guys, can we give Miss Tasha her flowers tonight? Like, the only reason why we even started the domestic violence series, period, is because of you, Miss Tasha. So I just want to give you your flowers because you are walking in your purpose. And yes, yes,
Yay!
yes, that,
Innovation.
all of that. So yeah, I just want to say, girl, thank you. And God is very pleased with you. Okay. Love you, sis.
Yes, and I just want to elaborate on that just slightly. So, for those who may not know, we had one of our sisters amongst our community who is currently going through a domestic violence situation. And she, because of the great community that we built here in Loyalty and Friends, she felt, and the relationship she had with Miss Tasha off app, she was vulnerable, and she came and she shared with family the things she was going through. So she's not on the opposite end of that yet, but we can't wait to tell her success story for sure. So, Carmen, we know you're listening, Queen. We are here with you. We love you. We love you. And just let you know, we can't wait till we hear your success story when you're on the other end of this. And we're going to hold your hand, Queen. So, because of that, that's what brought us out here. And we want to be more intentional and spread more awareness for others who might be suffering. So, thank you so much, Miss Tasha, just for having such a big heart and want to help another young lady who was going through something similar to your previous situation. So, thank you. So with that being said, brother LP, we saving it for you. You have been amazing. You've been helping us with the audio, which was big, big. So we thank you, King. And the mic is on you.
I'm not going to be long. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining in. Dr. Grayson, Danielle, Tasha, you queens are just so phenomenal. I'm going to speak to everybody as the face of Brother Speak from Speak Sister, Brother Speak. Men, and I'm speaking to the men that are the aggressors or the abusers, as well as the men that are on the receiving end of domestic violence. I'm going to start with the men that are the aggressors. I got two words for you: seek help. I learned that a couple of years ago from my father in law. He's a retired pastor. And we were having a conversation about a number of things, and we got to talking about mental health. You guys have all heard me talk about mental health crisis being the world's oldest continuous pandemic that's been around since the beginning of mankind, and it ain't going nowhere. When we're talking about mental health crisis, I throw domestic violence under that umbrella of mental health crisis, because as Dr. Grayson and Miss Tasha and our sister Danielle have said, it's just not a natural thing for you to just want to abuse somebody that you love and care about. It's just not natural. Not only is it not right, it's just not natural. Something is going on. Now, we're not saying that because something is going on between those two ears that person gets a pass. We're saying that that issue or those issues, they need to be addressed by a professional or professionals, plural. Having this domestic violence summit, the whole goal was not only to have dialogue, but to have dialogue with solution-based plans of action. To get that ball rolling, you have got to seek help. For the men that are on the receiving end of that domestic violence abuse, because more men are starting to report those issues, more men are starting to file police reports, more men are starting to file for restraining orders, more men are seeking help being victimized. I want to tell you guys, be encouraged. Do not stop the reporting process. Men get killed all the time in domestic violence situations. There are men that won't call because of the shame, the judgment, the guilt, the pain, the trauma of being on the receiving end of domestic violence because of all those things I just named. They're not believed a lot of times. I'm a first responder. I've shown up on a number of domestic violence calls where the man was the one that was actually being assaulted. I saw how the cops would look at him, look at her, and he could be 200 pounds, she could be 100 pounds soaking wet, but she assaulted him. And the cops are like, really? You got hurt because she hit you? And it's like, that's not the point. That's not the issue. If she hit him with a sledgehammer and he thumped her, they're gonna have their knee in his neck. You know, and so as a first responder, when I go on these calls, I used to be like, I would have to tell the cops, y'all need to knock this shit off. And I would say just that. Because me being the medic, I'm in charge of the scene. The cops are only there to make sure that the scene is safe. It's my scene. I'm the lead medic. I would tell them, knock that shit off or go outside, or have somebody else bring your superior in the room or the space or wherever we are. This is my patient. So I got to be the patient's advocate. I got to come in and do an assessment. I got to help de-escalate. And I have to be that patient's advocate. And I have to raise the awareness for all the other first responders on that scene, because I've seen other EMTs, I've seen other medics, I've seen other firefighters come on those scenes and have that same judgmental reaction when the man was the victim or the survivor of these incidents. I'm not telling y'all what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. And this is part of the reason why I have started being more of an advocate even after retirement. It's the reason why I started my Trigger Warning Talk podcast to talk about domestic violence, to talk about human and sex trafficking, to talk about sexually based offenses and missing persons. There is no other person in podcast land that's a man, let alone a first responder, that are talking about any of those topics that I just brought up. Nowhere. Google it. It's because I want to talk to all of these first responders all across this country. And I'm already starting to do it. To say, we need more training. We get the calls, but we don't get the training. How many red flags did I miss in my 14 plus year career? Because I only got one training, and that was in 2019 on human and sex trafficking. I work for a fire department and an EMS service. We don't get the training, but we always get those 911 calls. We get the referrals, or we make referrals to the traffic hotlines and the domestic violence hotlines and the sexual assault hotlines and other entities, other agencies. I would do that all the time. And I'm telling you, it's just so hard when the man is the one on the receiving end of the domestic violence. I just want to tell the men that are being in that position, continue to be encouraged. You are not alone. And as Dr. Grayson said, and as Ms. Tasha said, and our sister Danielle said, if you are victimized by domestic violence, doesn't matter what your gender is, doesn't matter what your size is, doesn't matter what your address is, it doesn't matter how much money you got in your checking account, it doesn't matter what part of the country you live in, it doesn't matter how tall you are. You have the right not to be touched. You have the right not to be violated. You have the right not to be shamed, put in judgment, have this ongoing trauma. You have so many rights that you have to fight for. And you might have to fight 2 or 3 times harder. Just know you have people like your brother LP, Coach K, Loyalty, Miss Cynthia, Dr. Grayson, Miss Tasha, our brother Mr. EA, Sister Danielle X, and many, many other people and organizations and companies that will stand in that foxhole right beside you and say, what do you need to get out of that situation? And with that, LP out.
Thank you, LP. We appreciate that. So I know we went over on the time for but I do want to still give respect to those who are in Clubhouse. Okay, so let's limit to maybe another 5 minutes for questions, if that's okay. If you are available and you would like to pour into the speakers, or you have anything you would like to add to this conversation, the mics are open on Clubhouse for sure. So yes, let's get some flashing mics and maybe see who would like to either pour into the speakers or they have anything to say with the finale. It has been an amazing, amazing show. So I see my sister Shaletta tapped her mic. Queen, would you like to speak?
No, ma'am. I'm gonna let Miss Deborah go. Thank you so much. I see she had on mic a couple of times, so I'm gonna go after her. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So with that being said, Miss Deborah, the mic is on you, Queen.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I just want to commend. I came in late, so I just want to commend everyone for this work that you all are doing. So many people ex-husband is seeking down for a whole year. A whole year. A restraining order, calling the police twice a week for 9 months, having a pistol permit to carry on myself, having alarm system, cameras, burglar bars, all that stuff had to be done to protect me and my children and his son who was living with me. He he did everything that he could, and it was all about power and control, ladies. And so, what I want women to know is that even when you decide to leave, a lot of times that's not. You got to be ready and you got to be prepared. And I'm so glad women like you are on the standby, ready to help because I had no help. Um, and it was a whole year of absolute tyranny. Now, when you look at me back then, you would have been like, girl, for real, you? Yes, me. It can happen to anybody. I don't care how, we're married to people or date people. We don't know people. I don't care how much you think you know somebody, you don't know them. When people lose their mind, they turn to somebody else. So I applaud you all for helping these women because I understand what they are going through. The only thing that stopped him, no police, no arrests, no nothing. I even had I walked up on police officers telling him, I had to report them saying to him, man, we understand how these women act. Okay, I understand what the gentleman was saying because that's what police do sometimes. They they're sympathetic, not to the person that's being mistreated, but to the person who's doing the mistreating. So I commend you. I wish I had this type of support. Uh, I had to just break it down to the Lord and tell him, I can't do this. I can't take this any longer. And he died with a heart attack at 35 years old. So that's all I have to say. Just thank you so much. This Jeremiah Yilma.
Miss Deborah,
Thank you
thank
for
you so
that.
much for listening.
Thank you, Queen. We really appreciate you, and thank you for tapping in and just being vulnerable with us as well. So let's see who else do we have, and who would like to pour into these ladies. And your story was very appealing, Miss Deborah. I want to say that there's so many other people who suffer, and they don't have the courage to speak out. So we definitely give gratitude when those who are willing to share do. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I know the follow-up person was my sister Shaletta. So Queen, are you ready? Are you ready? The mic is on you.
I'm ready. Grand Rising Phenomenons. Thank you so much for those that participated in this. I've been listening in. I know that there were some people on YouTube and there's some people in the building. Thank you, Dr. Grayson, for what you shared. But I really wanted to just kind of add on to what LP was saying. I was in healthcare for a long time. And I know I'm in a hot spot right now for human trafficking. I'm probably up maybe a block or so from one of the main malls. Domestic violence, all of the things that you all mentioned. It took a lot of courage for you to stay and say what you said. And I love that our God brother came in and he just simply said, seek help. Just continue to be a better version of you daily and showing up for yourself daily. But let's not turn a blind eye on things that we know that are happening, as someone stated, because it could save a person's life and ultimately it could possibly cost them their life. So thank you for being who you are and sharing what you share. I know it took a lot of courage, and I just celebrate you. That's all I yield.
Thank you, sister. We appreciate you, Shaletta, just for your input, your pour into for sure. And yeah, LP, of course, we all have a lot of history for sure. So of course, King, we salute you just for being a rescuer and just for everything you do in the community because you're always bringing awareness, always ready to share and pour back into. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And Shaletta, thank you for that follow up and just pouring back into our brother. We all need it. So with
Yes.
that,
Loyalty, before you can I make a statement real quick? I know
yes,
you're on time. But brother LP mentioned last episode about community emergency response training. I
Mhm.
want to be able to reiterate that in Dallas, I know for a fact we have the CERT training classes that are free. They're free classes. So find out in your city, in your area, sign up for the community emergency response training and get it. They get
Yes.
it. We have to know how to be able to deal with certain situations from disaster to cribbing. Everything has to be learned. So I suggest that everyone who can hear the sound of my voice right now go online and type in community emergency response training and whatever your city is, sign up, sign your children up, sign your grandmother up, whomever can be able to be there. Come in numbers. It'll shock them.
Right.
What y'all up to? But it ain't about that. It's about learning how to be able to deal. So when they cannot facilitate us, we're able to deal with the abuse, right? Loyalty. We're able to deal with the trafficking. We're able to do search and rescue on our own. Be
right.
able to know how to deal with things by ourselves. And by getting proper training will help us to be effective in dealing with the abuse in our relationships, to be able to deal with the sex trafficking. They have no problem with going and dealing with those things in person, but training is very key to be able to handle it, not just sloppy, but trained properly. So I want to share that.
And to add to what you're saying, Sister Danielle, I posted as we was doing this 3-part series. I posted on my social media because I ran across a post where a first responder, she was a nurse at the hospital. She was sharing about the 45-second rule. All right, so women do hear there's 45 seconds from the time you put your key in there to the time you crank up. You need to be up out of there 45 seconds. Nothing should take longer than that. Don't sit there and just read mail because the young lady, she went to her mailbox and thinking it was okay to sit there for a few seconds to read her mail. And during that time, some man, random stranger she didn't know, snatched her from her vehicle, took her miles away, beat her, endlessly. Okay, when she got to the hospital, she was thinking her eye was swollen shut, but the eye was no longer going to be functional. And the nurse was sitting here saying, how do you tell a young girl who's in her 20s that she's gonna never be able to see out her eye? So I just want to take heed to that and just let you know any random time you can become a victim. So just be mindful, make sure you're watching your awareness. A lot of times we're in our phones, we're distracted. Okay, when you're walking and you're traveling, put them phones down. It can wait. it can wait. A few seconds on the phone can cause you a lifetime. You understand? So again, be very mindful of your surroundings. Okay, so you don't make yourself a target. That's so
And
important.
make sure you check your back seat before you get in your car. Coach K, we had this conversation. Before you all get in your car, check your back seat. Because it'd be a hell of a situation when you get in your car and someone's in your back seat, got you by your neck with a knife or a gun to your back. What are you going to do? You got caught slipping. Or you in a Walmart and you pushing your shopping cart with 5 children in the store. You can't control 5 children at one time. Find you a babysitter to make it easier for you to go in the store and come out. And be mindful of the man or woman walking around. They get that cocaine needle in your neck. You become limp and numb. They pick you up. Security officers paid for. The cops are paid for. General managers paid for. Everybody knows what's going on in the store. You got to be open and aware at all times, just in case. It's not if it happens, it's when it happens. How are you going to respond?
That's right. I want to add a couple comments to what you just said, Danielle X, real quick. It's called the color codes of awareness. So there are 5 of them. So white is unaware. That's, hey, I'm walking down the street. I'm all in my phone. I'm sitting in my car. I'm all in my phone and all this stuff. That's the white level. So you're not aware of what's going on around you. The next color code of awareness is yellow. And that means you're aware of your surroundings, but you're still kind of like, you're making sure you're not walking into a fire hydrant or stepping off the curb or whatever, but you're still in your phone. But you're a little bit more aware. The next color code of awareness color is orange. You've identified a possible threat or threats. So you're at more of a heightened sense of awareness. Then you have color red, which is you are focused on whatever's getting ready to come your way. Like who all's in the parking lot. You have done a complete 360 around your car. And I want to add that. Don't just look in the back seat. You need to do a 360-degree revolution around whatever vehicle that you're in, whether it's your car, your friend's car, your mama's car, Uber, Lyft, the cab, you need to do that because people hide under cars. They hide on the other side. They may not be in the car, but they might be waiting on the other side of the car in your blind spot. And black is everything's gone to hell in a handbag. So that's just the Cliff Notes version of the color codes of awareness. So with that, I'll pass the mic back over to you, Laura.
Thank you, LP. We appreciate that awareness, you all. So make sure y'all listening to these tips that's being provided because we want to make sure that we all make it home and safe, okay, and sound with no injuries if possible. And if you do get faced in a situation, you know how to properly protect yourselves. That's so important, okay? So this training that we're speaking about is very, very important for our community. And look for these services. A lot of them are offered for free. You just got to search for it, okay? Anything that we know, we will bring it to the community for sure, and always make sure we be that resource as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So any last comments? I see my sister, Miss Virginia. She does a room on Clubhouse as well. So she's a big advocate when it comes to the domestic violence. So Queen, we have to put the mic on you, Miss Virginia. We would love
Yes.
to hear you speak.
Good evening, everyone. I jumped in. I've been wanting to come into the room. I've just been extremely busy. However, I just wanted to come in to really commend you, Loyalty, and your entire group for everything that you all are doing. I have been working in domestic violence as a psychologist since 2004, and definitely there is not enough people who are standing up and making a difference in helping those who are hurting. So basically, I just wanted to thank you so much. Thank all of you for everything that you are doing. Please continue to do it. Please continue to reach out to others because domestic violence is terrible. It is terrible. And since the pandemic, it has truly been on the rise. So we definitely need more warriors out there fighting to help save these men, to help save these women, to help save these children. So basically, I just wanted to say thank you. I came in basically only just to say thank you. thank all of you for what it is that you are doing. I land the mic.
Yes, and thank you, sister, because Virginia, you have been on this app, being a big, big advocate of domestic violence and just being that voice that people need. So we thank you, Queen, because we have to join forces. It's a collaborative effort, and we all can spread the awareness. It's so, so, so important. So thank you. I appreciate you so much, wholeheartedly. So, any other last comments? And if not, we're going to go ahead and prepare to bring this to a close. It has been amazing, amazing for those who maybe joined a little late. If you missed out on this conversation, the replays are on, so you can go back and hear the entire 2 hour conversation for sure. It has been amazing, amazing. And I'm looking forward to more collaboration so we can continue to spread the word, spread the knowledge, and push other missions as well for our community so we can heal. So with that being said, Danielle, you got any last words, Queen? Because if not, we're gonna close this thing out.
We about to go to bed. But look, so I need I want to say thank you all for your attention. I want to send a salute to my dear friend and hard worker in the community here in Dallas, Dr. Pamela Grayson. I love you. I love you. I love you. And I thank the God for you. Definitely, definitely. Tasha, I'm looking forward to working with you here in Dallas because she's not that far from us, Dr. Pamela. Be able to collaborate with her, work with her, close the gaps, make some things happen. I guarantee whoever can hear me, we're going to have future um, conversations about much more. So keep your ear to the ground as we collaborate, we build, we love, and we support. So thank you all again for your time. Coach K, you are the bomb diggity. LP, you rock. Loyalty, you are absolutely amazing. And I'm just thankful to the God for everybody on this panel and for those who tuned in. Thank you.
Yes, and I really have to second that motion because without each and every one of you, this would not be possible. Okay, so tonight, you all, we had 85 people in Clubhouse in and out of this space. So I want to thank the 85 people who did come and show support, and for our panelists who have been on this journey with us since the beginning. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking on this challenge. You understand? Because this is the conversations we have to continue to have for our community. So without you, this will not be possible. So who is loyalty friends? Y'all know who are my friends. Coach K, who are my friends, man? LP, who my friends? I see you all everywhere.
We are.
We
We
are.
are.
I love y'all, love you because
Hey,
this is
loyalty.
our community. We're continue to build and we're going to continue to empower our community. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Loyalty and friends, we have quite a few rooms, of course. So just going to give y'all a quick little rundown and then we're going to prepare to close. So you can come to Clubhouse Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. We do have networking group from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we do have Bible study now that's going to be led by our sister, Miss Latrell Bailey. Okay, so yes, come get your Bible study hour 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because that's a great way to start your week. Okay, on Him who we all serve for sure. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We got the men and women's mental health hour Tuesday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do support our men, all men on stage here on Clubhouse. The women support below, okay, because men have to be able to talk amongst men, okay, and know that it's a safe environment. If there is enough time, we are allowed on the stage to support the men for sure. Okay. But it's all about the men and us pointing to them and women on the stage on Thursdays. Okay. Same time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All ladies on the stage, men supporting below. And if time permits, we will allow them to the stage. Coach K, yes, she does a guided journal workshop. Also, in Loyalty and Friends every single Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And now we have the intense engagement. Y'all join us Wednesday. If you need that engagement, get some organic, okay? Organic digital currency. Come in there 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Wednesdays. And the Loyalty and Friends podcast, you all. I think I said enough. Whew, I'm running out of breath. So, yes,
Hey, loyalty.
you all.
Loyalty.
Yes.
Guess who just joined the room? Mrs. LP's in the building. She's listed down in the audience as C Note.
Oh, Miss C, no, you must come to the stage, Queen, because man, it is an honor. Make sure y'all follow Miss C, no, because
Woo!
LP. So she's definitely family to us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You just gotta follow. This is my backup account, but when I get the other one back in here, I will follow you from that one as well. So, man, much love, much love. And I know she's probably listening to this whole podcast as well. She's right here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Without that, any further no anything else? Anybody else got anything to say? Well, I think it's perfect. We should close this out. So thank you all again. That Miss LP made officially 86 people in Clubhouse now. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And on that note, you all, we're gonna go ahead and close it out in 5,
Lord,
4.
can I say something right quick?
Oh, yep. We can always stop
Go
for a
ahead, Miss
second.
Virginia.
Miss
I'm
Virginia,
sorry.
want to speak?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I definitely wanted to share with the room if there is any nonprofit or for-profit organizations that is in here that are looking for grants. I am working a government contract where I'm doing research for the government for-profit and nonprofit grants. I did put the information in the chat if anyone would like to reach out to me for further information. I have been blessed to help some awesome organizations in researching and finding some awesome grants for them. So if I could be of further assistance, reach out to me. I put my number in the chat. Thank you.
You're welcome so much, Miss Virginia. Thank you for that plug, y'all. So tap in. Them grants is big, you know. If you have a for-profit or a non-profit, I'm pretty sure someone here can utilize that service. So thank you, Queen. So on that note, y'all, it is time to get up out of here. Yes, indeed. All right. So on that note, y'all, we're gonna close it out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Until next time, my friends, I love y'all. Bye. All right, Clubhouse is closed and we are closing out. Amazing. Are you able to end it, brother?